The wars of the deep state are being lost. You look at what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in Iran, this, very dark group that has been, controlling humanity and causing these wars for generation after generation after generation, is finally coming to an end. The end of the Democrat Party accelerating. So we're seeing that across the board. We're seeing it in California happening. We saw the deep state, puppets in Kentucky, and in Texas, and in Louisiana. All three rhinos in those three states basically being taken down. We're going to probably see the increase of that. So the rhinos, the Democrats, there will be a massive, I predict a very, very massive red wave that's coming. And I believe that we will have elections midterm. I don't think they're going to be interrupted. So we'll see as things move forward. Now, serious Muslim problem here in the United States, of course, around the world. Islam is, I think, if you look at people that, studied Islam and Muhammad, towards the end of his life, Muhammad seems to have been inhabited by demons, all right? And everything started to change very quickly. Came in as something very positive, but unfortunately, it ended with an extreme negative. Those that have done muscle testing of the energetic field of Islam towards the end of Muhammad, it was very, very negative. So that's what we're seeing with the Islam. The Muslim community, unfortunately, are trapped into something that's very dark. We have to, prevent that from spreading here in the United States. It has taken hold in a lot of places. If we don't start to push back on it, it will overcome us, and it will turn our country very dark. All right, so we're going to jump into all this. Let's look at what's going on in the Russia-Ukraine war. I don't cover this that often, but it's good to catch up on it so that people know what the bigger picture is. I see people out there that are covering the war in Iran. I'm not going to name names, but it seems like there's still a lot of CIA types that are out there. The CIA for the longest time was going against Russia, right? The Soviet Union. They still are stuck there, right? Stuck on stupid. And they are obviously, to me, of course, some of these people that are out there revealing information are doing a good job, but then they go into some kind of like, I'm going to talk about the world now after they talk very, very well about Iran, the jets and blowing stuff up and so forth that's going on over there. Very calculated, very methodical, basically destroying Iran piece by piece by piece by piece, day by day, destroying Iran, restricting them from getting more money so that they can continue to run their country. They have police that aren't showing up anymore. They have military that's not showing up anymore. The IRGC seems to be the only group out there that still is active, and they are occasionally, striking out. But as soon as they do, they get hammered. So this ceasefire, really, there hasn't been a ceasefire. It's been Iran has acted up and they get slammed, right? And then the United States just back, just takes a step back. And then that keeps going over and over and over again. So that's part of the thing that we're seeing right now. This continual takedown of Iran, which is deep state. This continuous takedown of the Ukrainian Nazis, which, of course, European Nazis, NATO has been, helping, supporting, the Nazis that are in Ukraine. So they're by taking out Ukraine, Russia is basically taking out the Nazis in Europe as well. So everything's moving in a perfect purpose, very methodical, very purposeful. I think President Trump basically aligned with China the last time he was over there with the positive side. There's a deep state throughout the world. The deep state's being eliminated piece by piece by piece, and they're losing their monetary control. They're losing their ability to manipulate us across the board, whether it be harm us, big pharma, big harm us, right? So that's part of the deep state, obviously. That's part of really on a bigger picture that's being revealed right now. And I've talked about this on many shows now. The secret space program that the Nazis, along with the Draco reptilians, were running, that's being eliminated as well. So that's where a lot of the control system was happening. So the white hats, the positive group that was, part of, the positive, ET groups and so forth that have been helping us as we evolve, because they have a, do not interfere. So we have a lot of, very good things that are happening, across the board. And a lot of things are being torn down and decimated with the deep state across, not just here in America, not just in Iran, not just in Ukraine, but across the world. So we're going to continue to see that. And let's look at some of the things that are going on right now in Ukraine. So the constant and methodical decimation of the Nazis in Ukraine has been ongoing. Of course, like I said, there are some people that keep saying that Ukraine is winning. That's beyond stupid to me, right? So you'll have someone who's seemingly very, very well informed in the press and so forth, and then if you see them come out and say that Ukraine is winning, they're controlled by the CIA bad side, right? The Nazi side of the CIA, right? So it's obvious to me. I worked in the CIA for a long time. I saw that group, doing their movements and so forth. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. It's frustrating to those of us, that were, working to overcome negative in the world and, cancel out, evil. But evil is working behind the scenes to keep evil going. So we're definitely moving in the right direction to take it down. So this is a map of Zaporizhia, and it's crumbling. The whole front is crumbling very rapidly. So this is a map that basically shows it. We'll listen to a little piece of this.
So according to this map that was published today by the Minister of Defense, the Russians, by the end of the 9th of April, had controlled probably more than or up to 40 or even more % of the city of Orechov. Now, let's return back to the map and we will understand what are the differences. So this is the situation right now in front of your screens. You can see, and according to the map that was leaked by the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, by the...
So what this is showing, and what he's going to point out, is the Russian Minister of Defense, they should term theirs the War, Ministry of War. So like we did. They are basically showing that they have taken a lot more land than a lot of people have been letting on. And they've kept it on the down low. Ukraine has been, blowing themselves up as, look, we're winning, we have all this land. You're going to see that they have massive, losses in real estate. that they haven't been, talking about.
More by the end of the 9th of April of 2026, the Russians controlled something like this. So these territories between the city of Orekhov, between the city of Novodanilovka, Nestyryanka, Malotokmachka, Novopokrovka, all these territories, according to the map that was published by the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, was captured by Russians during the Orekhov offensive operation. So this is the first interesting thing that was published this morning by the Minister of Defense. Another important thing is the situation, of course, through the western Zaporozhye direction. We are talking about the territory between the cities or villages of Grigorovka and Stepnogorsk. As you can see, as of the current situation, all these territories are, almost all these territories are colored in yellow color, which means that all these territories are under strong control of the armed forces of Ukraine. But as of the 9th of April of 2026, according to the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, all these territories were under complete Russian control. So now let's add the gap, let's add these changes to the map, and then we will understand better what exactly is happening. So these are the territories that were, according to the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, by the end of the 9th of April of 2026, under complete control of the armed forces of the Russian Federation. And as you can see, all these territories, and this is a very big gap, first of all, there are a lot of territories, as you can see, under complete Russian control. But now we see that all these territories are colored in yellow color, which means that the Ukrainians have strong control.
So as you can see from this, there's a lot more going on here than they're letting on as far as like taking real estate. So let's look at the bigger picture. I follow this pretty much every day. I look at all of the information that's coming through on this Russia-Ukraine war, and Russia is decimating Ukraine on a massive scale. So here is a larger map, and we're going to look at this and get a bigger idea, of what's actually going on in Ukraine. So here it is. You see Belarus, which is gearing up, or so Ukraine has been saying, to invade. Now you see Kyiv is right here. So Belarus and Russia has been, stacking the deck over here along the border quite a bit, ramping up their military and so forth. We're probably going to see Belarus enter the war and take Kyiv at some point in the near future. So you have other areas that I said that at the beginning, before the beginning of this year, I gave basically a rundown of what I foresaw happening. So you see Zaporizhia, which I was just covering, where they said there was a lot more real estate was taken than they've been letting on. Zaporizhia, once that gets taken, they'll probably get a little bit of they'll probably start to move into Dnipro, and then they're going to start to move over and take Odessa. Once they take Odessa, there's no more reason for Europe to help Ukraine, because with the Black Sea, they can move all of the farm material, and because they have huge numbers of farms in Ukraine, one of the most fertile areas in the world. And they have oils and all kind of crazy stuff, precious minerals and so forth, which they move through that area. Of course, they receive a lot of war material through this area too. So once Russia, which I think could happen as early as this year, once they've taken Odessa, they take Zaporizhia and come down along the coast and take Odessa. That's pretty much the end of Ukraine. And we'll see probably a lot of these other big cities. Kharkiv is in the bullseye. I think that's going to happen pretty soon. the Sumy region. The Sumy region is where they launch a lot of attacks into Moscow, going into hitting Moscow and other areas of Russia. So Ukraine basically, about a week ago, they launched a massive strike, and all these missiles and drones and so forth. And one of the drones hit a school, and it killed a lot of young girls, and I think 21, and wounded 85 or something like that. That pretty much turned the Russian people against. They're like, okay, let's pick up the pace on this war, and that's what we're going to start to see, and a lot of this is going to continue to happen. It's going to start to accelerate as far as like the takedown of Ukraine. There's a lot of these countries that are promising missiles and armaments and so forth at the beginning of next year. Like Sweden, and I think it's Sweden or Switzerland, one of them is going to give them like 16 jets with missile systems and so forth in January of next year. Maybe they'll still be there in January of next year. It's a possibility, but the way things are moving, wheat, they have a lot of wheat. It's probably not going to be very viable for them to send any more jets into Ukraine, because you'll see great and vast areas of Ukraine come under Russian control. So we'll see how this war unfolds, how it keeps going, and then of course, just recently, within the last couple hours or so, we've seen Iran really picking up the pace again. Trying to launch. Well, they did. They weren't trying. They launched some missiles and so forth. Let's listen to a little bit of this.
Hitting not just boats, but also hitting missile and drone launch spots. Now, the IRGC, according to multiple reports, we're going to go through them here, have opened up fire in the Strait of Hormuz. Right here specifically, reports are indicating multiple U.S. ships were targeted, with Sabarine News, a pro-Iran network, claiming 4 U.S.-linked vessels, including commercial ships, were targeted after violating Iranian transit rules in the Strait of Hormuz. So multiple reports indicating multiple ships have been fired on. We don't know the full this map up. We are learning that Iran's state-backed news outlet is stating Iran fired off a number of missiles. So now we are hearing it is a number of missiles into the Strait of Hormuz. Israeli I-24 News reporting that some, again, may have been targeting U.S. vessels. This comes amidst renewed reports of possible clashes, likely reciprocal in nature, yet again between the U.S. and Iran, as the tenuous ceasefire holds. Well, how do we have a ceasefire? They won't stop shooting, and that forces us to come in and bomb them. The only way you get this to stop is by going in and knocking out their right jaw.
All right. So, yeah, that's, that's tough talk, but, being on the ground and fighting these wars is another thing. I've been in there for well over half my life, fighting these wars. It's not fun. Seeing your friends die, almost dying yourself many times. So, tough talk is great. Sometimes you have to go in, but I think what President Trump is doing, continuing the negotiation process and trying to get to a point where Iran collapses. I think we're moving in that direction. I think it's, he's the greatest commander-in-chief probably in history. He is exceptional at basically taking down an enemy with exceptionally low losses. Again, one loss is too many. There's been 13 losses, unfortunately, American troops. I dare say there's probably been 1,000 times or more, 10,000 times that on the enemy side in Iran. So things are moving very quickly, and it's going to make a big difference. Now, on our front, on the home front, the United States battlefront against the deep state, we're seeing the Democrats being decimated. Like I said earlier, the rhinos being decimated. So all those that are against America are being removed on a massive scale. Now, this is the Officer Tatum. I remember Officer Tatum when I, was doing YouTube videos 6 years ago. He was a newbie, and I was like pointing people to him. I had like 250,000 subscribers at that time. Over the last year, I've only fortunately, I got my YouTube back, and I've been able to keep it. Although they keep, trying to, shut me down and to suppress me on a massive scale. So about 125, getting there, 124, almost 125,000. He had like less than that when he first started out, of course. So I promoted him. Now, amazingly, because when you get shut down on YouTube, all the people that you follow, you lose all that. So you start up another channel, and you're like, well, who was I following before? And it's like some of them you find again. What was really, very tragic to me is like a lot of you that are in the chats right now. You come in, you get to know each other. I get to know you're like family. So I lost so many families, over the COVID nonsense. It's very tragic. But here is Officer Tatum. Now I want you guys to look at his numbers. Look at his numbers. His numbers are 3.74 million. Good for him. He is like, maintain his channel. He's kind of focused on the officers and judicial side. He's been able to keep his channel. Probably got a few strikes maybe over the years, but he was able to recover. And now look at him. Incredible. So here is a little bit about Spencer Pratt's homeless plan. Now, I think just like Officer Tatum, this is basically going to get him elected. This is another, massive Democrat city. Most people in LA are Democrats, or so they lean in that direction anyway. Spencer Pratt is a Republican. So there's only like 15% of LA is Republican. So when I believe they vote for Pratt, and hopefully he gets a 51%. If he gets 51% or more, then he's basically a winner. So if it's like less than 50%, then it's a runoff. If he even gets that, because we know that California cheats like hell, right? But he's even said that don't worry about that. Just come out at big numbers and we'll overwhelm their cheat. Right? That's what President Trump did. And let's hope that Spencer Pratt does the same thing.
Shouldn't be close at all. Roll the clip.
What are your plans for the over 40,000 homeless in Los Angeles?
Yeah, they're not homeless. They're drug addicts. Most of these people are addicted to fentanyl and meth. This isn't Spencer
making it up. Are you saying they don't have homes?
There is places for all of these people to sleep in LA. No matter what anybody tells you, we have housing and shelter for everyone that's living on the street. They're choosing to be on the street because they want to do drugs. They don't want rules. They don't want to listen. They want to have animals to abuse. This idea that they're forced on the street right now is a lie that our city is perpetuating. We've paid $24 billion to house these 40,000 people. There's spots for all of these people. They are choosing because they're an addict, and you can do fentanyl and sewer meth on the sidewalk with no repercussions. These places are not as they have to follow some rules. You can't torture a dog in some of these houses. You can't just attack people. You can't just be naked.
Where are you going to move?
Well, I just released a 9-minute video, so you can.
I think I saw your video.
Yeah, so it's very detailed.
But it's going to take time to build the facility and money.
No.
How fast do you think you can do it?
These people can literally. I went to Washington and I saw miles of the most insane prefabricated housing and building. I asked all the CEOs of these companies, say, how long does this take? I met with FEMA and HUD, 3 days. 3 days, and all of this is cheaper than trying to take over, kick senior citizens out of their buildings. Is what happens. They kick them out, and then the NGOs come in and they spend 4 years. This is LA. This is LA's timetable.
Where is this facility going to be?
It's on beautiful federal land property.
Where, in LA County?
Well, when I'm mayor, I'll go meet with the federal government and I'll get the property. Right now, I'm just running, so I can't give you the exact address because I don't have the legal responsibility to go represent Los Angeles and say, can I have this land? But when I'm mayor, I promise you, because we have the Olympics coming and everybody in the government wants LA to be the #1 most beautiful city, they will work with me to give me the land I need.
So you're going to move these 40,000 people somewhere, and you're going to have this facility up in, you said, how long?
Here's what you got to realize.
90 days?
Let me explain something. These 40,000 people.
All right. I love how Spencer Pratt is talking to this guy. This guy is like he's typical, mainstream knucklehead leftist media and deep state media. And he's trying to trip him up, keeps trying to trip him up. And Spencer Pratt is like, let me tell you how this works. So now I saw him on the Fox News some kind of round table where they have the couches or whatever. And so he showed up there and they showed how many people have been donating over the last month. He's got $2.7 million that's come into his race for mayor of LA. The next one down is like this radical Marxist communist woman that's part of what? She's part of the homeless. So she's been part of, helping the homeless for 4 years. No, she's been part of the fraud of helping the homeless. And then, of course, you have the mayor, Bass, which is Karen Bass, she said that in 2026 she would solve the homeless problem 4 years ago. Well, it's worse than ever. So he basically has the plan. It's common sense. He says a lot of people come into LA, and I've said this too. A lot of people come into LA from other states. So if you're going to get shipped out, you're going to go back to your state. Your state's going to handle you. He even says that probably Seattle, Washington will open their arms because they'll use the fraud, all these people coming up to, take it from the federal government and from the people of Seattle and Washington State. They'll rape them, just like the people of LA have been raped. The people of California have been raped by these Democrats. All right. So he's basically telling them how it is. How he's going to handle it. He's going to basically have a place where they can go, and there's trailers for them. There's going to be mental health practitioners. They'll get them off the drugs. They like to be on the street because they can do drugs whenever they want. They're not going to be able to do it on the streets of LA anymore. They're going to go to these shelters and get professional help to get off drugs. And there are a lot of people who are supporting this. People are supporting this outside of LA. People that have left LA by the hundreds of thousands over the last several years are sending money to him, he says, because they want to come back. All right. Now, he said that if he loses, that he's leaving LA. So that would be tragic because LA has a shot here. Now, I said this about Texas. A couple years ago. I said, Texas, what's going on? You guys are failing hard. I say now, Bravo Zulu, Texas, you guys have turned around and you're like really fighting back, but you still have a massive Muslim problem. You're going to have to fix that as well. So they've come after all of their deep state, puppet boys and girls that were in the political realm. They're decimating them all over the place in Texas now. And are we going to see this in LA? If we don't, California's dead. California will die if they don't get some Republicans in there to fix their system.
60% of them, City Watch just announced this week, are not from Los Angeles. They're not from California. These people have been bussed in by scam rehabs, scam NGOs, scam homeless nonprofits. These people, when I unplug them and say, we're not taking our tax money anymore, they're all going to Seattle where the mayor will welcome them. These are products to a lot of people. So the people that want to keep doing drugs and live on the sidewalk, a lot of these people are going to leave. The other ones, there's a lot of criminals. There's people that are getting naked in front of kids. They're going to jail. The people that are torturing animals, they're going to jail. So not everyone goes.
Now, I've been through LA and some of the nicest place, Hollywood area, not Hollywood, but so the nicest areas of Hollywood. So where multi-million dollar homes are, where the Hollywood elite live and so forth. And you go down the street just a little ways and you see people naked, homeless people naked, changing naked, or just walking around naked, totally oblivious to what's going on. They're in, right across from schoolyards. They're in playgrounds, doing drugs in playgrounds. It's out of control. And these people are, they're not like, on some kind of agenda like communist or Marxist or anything like that. They're just complete idiots. These Democrats are complete idiots. President Trump has said the same thing. I've said the same thing. I've said this for years. I've seen their work in the military. I've seen their works in the CIA. These people are like, they live in la la land. They have no concept whatsoever of reality in some cases.
In the same box. So we have the money, we have the resources, and we have the facility.
Come on. How y'all not voting for that man? Karen Bass won't say nothing that he said. Why? They really don't have a plan, and they want to play politics instead of doing what they're supposed to do.
All right, so it's pretty cut and dry. It's pretty simple. If you have any kind of common sense, you're going to vote other than Democrat going forward. So let's take this to the next level. We have Newt Gingrich. Let's listen to what he has to say about what's going to happen to the Democrats in the upcoming election midterm. It's what I've been saying for a long time. They're going bye-bye.
You see gas prices up. What's your outlook?
Well, let me say, first of all, the 30 years would be 1996. And that was the year we actually became the first re-elected Republican House since 1928.
Wow.
So it was pretty consequential.
Yes.
As you point out, we then went on to balance the budget for 4 straight years for the only time in the last century. So we were, I think.
That was no accident.
If you tell me the price of gasoline on Labor Day, I'm pretty confident I can tell you about the election.
All right. So President Trump has rightly stated that once the Iran conflict is ended, you will see gas prices accelerate to the downside. Right. So during this peace negotiation, which is basically slow bleeding and strangling Iran leadership to death, slowly but surely. Will it continue, or will they have to go in and hammer them? Well, it remains to be seen. But regardless, they're going to be gone within the next couple months, I predict. And once that happens, once we get towards the end of summer, gas prices are going to be much, much, much lower than they are right now. And as Newt is saying, that's always a major contributor to whoever's in office doing well. Now, the other side of this is that the Republicans have, like you saw just there, Spencer Pratt, he has a plan to make things right, to make people, have a better city. Their taxes are not going to go to waste. And who knows if they get, some other people in there, they could have no taxes at all. So I don't know. It's the words are not getting out to some people, but it seems like Spencer Pratt, who has a great following, multi-million subscribers in all of his channels and so forth. The word is getting out there. So it looks really, really good for him. But we know that the Democrats always cheat. That's the only way they hold on to office, guys. And we've heard from Gavin Newsom today that he says he's got some secret plans. I don't think he used that particular term, secret, but he says they have plans to just open the spigots to do whatever they got to take, whatever it takes to keep Dems in office. Right. So what does that mean? It means some kind of probably illicit cheating, or, bending the rules or changing the rules or something at the last minute. So I've already seen in the future Spencer Pratt winning. That does not mean that he will. It could very well mean, like I saw with President Trump in 2020, that he was going to win, which we all know he did, but it was stolen. Will Spencer Pratt get his election stolen? It remains to be seen. All right. There will have to be a massive, massive, massive number of people that vote for him, which I don't know. I don't know if Democrats are awake enough yet. All right. So we've been doing our job trying to inform them and get them awake, but it's tough. It's very tough. There's a lot of MK Ultra and mind control that goes on in the Democrat Party, and they live in la la land. So let's listen a little bit more of this.
If the president can get gasoline down somewhere in the $3 range, and people begin to feel like it's going to continue to come down, the Republicans will win the largest off-year election in modern times.
Really?
Yes, that's my personal judgment. Partially because with the One Big Beautiful Bill last year, the weight of economic growth is going to be so enormous. We'll probably be at 5 or 6% growth by this fall, which means that jobs will be showing up. People will have wages rising faster than inflation, and we will really be back rolling as the arsenal of democracy.
Yeah, or on the lake, a break the glass scenario, says Newsom, and I saw that, and that is the term that he used. So they're going to do, it's break the glass is basically emergency. So they could cheat right in front of everybody's face, just like the Democrats did in 2020, and steal this obvious, very obvious to everyone. They stole it and get away with it. Will they get away with it this time, or will they get stopped out, or will it, get stolen and there's a massive protest, pushback on it? There's different timelines for this, right? It's different timelines for this. Now, Newt goes on to say, and I'm gonna leave it. I'm not gonna interrupt anymore. He goes on to say that the Democrat Party basically is going to go away to a great extent.
The other thing is that the Democrats really have become a party that is I think, weak and woke and far too liberal. And I think as a result, they are almost like George McGovern in '72. They are open to the potential for a collapse on a scale they can't quite imagine. And only, frankly, the liberal news media misleading them, like the recent Washington Post poll, which had, I think, 27% Trump voters in the poll when he got 50% in the election. Now, that's actually a disadvantage in the long run for the left, because it means they're always operating off of bad information, and they don't realize how much they've got to change and how much trouble they're in.
All right, so he goes on. He's got a great story in here. I'm not sure exactly where it's at, but he talks about how and I've seen this. It's like the leftists, the liberals, a lot of the Democrats they're in complete la-la land, right? And like I said, I've seen this, throughout my career. Now they just have these ideas of things, and they just believe things that are just have no basis in reality whatsoever. So Newt has this nice story, which is actually true to a certain extent, of how remember that one Disney movie where they have the lions, the Lion King, and the lions and the zebras are dancing with each other, and everything's all great. There's that's not reality. But people that go over and do African safaris, he was talking about how some of these people that run the safaris are like, oh my God, we take people out on safaris and they see the lions and they're eating the zebras, and they're like, that's not real. That doesn't really make sense. What's going on? Wow. And you're probably all wow too, but I've seen this for real. It's bullshit. That's why I keep saying the Democrat Party is going to go away, right? They don't exist in reality, and people are starting to wake up to it, right? So, and I'm not trying to be mean. The Democrat Party is going to go away. It just is not in reality. They're so beyond what is real that they don't even comprehend that they're stupid and do stupid things, right? So you can't exist going forward when people start to look at you like, you guys are really friggin' stupid. Wow, I finally see that, right? So that's what's happening now, guys. It is moving that direction quite rapidly. All right, so Paxton's route of Corinth sets up the next real race, because the rhinos are being decimated, and now we're going to get to the midterms, and we're going to start to decimate the radical leftist. So that's the next step, taking down the rhinos and then moving on and taking down the leftist. Right, the Democrats, they're going away. They're going away like the dodo bird, right? They're just going to disappear, right? So it's all moving in that direction. There's no way it cannot be. It can move in that direction. So let's look at some other things that are like magical, right? That's like Tulsi Gabbard, and right. So Tulsi Gabbard is leaving office because her husband has bone cancer, a rare disease, bone cancer. Now, this is normally the way they take somebody and disappear them, guys. They get cancer. This is something that's been going on for quite some time. And now it's starting to pick up pace. And there might be something else to this, right? Might be something else going on here. So why did Tulsi Gabbard resign as DNI, Director of National Intelligence? So she said her husband, Abraham Williams, has rare cancer diagnosis. So she's going to leave office because of that. Oh, so nice. So nice. Good for you. Hopefully he, does well. So maybe he will. All right. Because we're looking at Pam Bondi, and she just came down with cancer. And Pam Bondi appointed to White House AI panel. Donald Trump appoints Pam Bondi to key White House role after firing her. Just weeks after removing Pam Bondi as Attorney General, President Trump reportedly has brought her back as part of an AI panel. The appointment returns a longtime loyalist to the administration's policy apparatus. Okay, well, let's look at how this kind of works out. We're going to look at the Stargate project. So the Stargate project is basically AI is going to cure cancer, right? So Pam Bondi is working on the AI. So let's look at what Zach Hubbard has to say about this. He's the guy I always go to that breaks this down. Gematria, right? Gematria is basically supposedly God. coming through. But it seems like these radical people manipulate gematria.
So again, Pam Bondi's working for Larry Ellison right now, who was the guy who spoke about this AI project eventually curing cancer. But she made this announcement on the 27th of May, 2/7/5, and that's not all. We talked about how the announcement of the Stargate project paid tribute to this TV show, Stargate, from 94. It came out in 1994. From the announcement of the Stargate project to her cancer news was 491 days, the 94th prime. So let's just go through all of this bit by bit, because I also want to show you how perfectly aligned with Larry Ellison it is. And we'll go back and look at that post from January 21st, 2025, when this was announced, and we'll see just how perfect it is. Remember, in gematria, cancer equals 26. It also equals 44, like Larry Ellison was born in the year 1944. But we've seen a lot of weird cancer stories in 2026, probably more than any other year. A lot of strange celebrity deaths where it said they died out of nowhere from cancer and nobody even knew they were fighting a cancer battle. It was a totally private cancer battle. We've seen that one a lot this year. We just saw it with the It Takes Two rapper, Rob Bass. He was the latest. Anyway, we know who runs the script. And remember, these people who are responsible for the language and the calendar, they have a lot to do with the world of science. They have a lot to do with the way we take care of cancer these days. They have a lot to do with big tech. Look at this. From Pam Bondi's birthday to the announcement yesterday was 191 days, and it was also a span of 56 days from her firing. In gematria, Society of Jesus, 191 with the alphabetic order, 56 with the alphabetic order in numerology. We talk about these patterns all the time. And don't forget when Todd Blanche replaced Pam Bondi, let me just scroll down to this. He became the 88th acting attorney general. And from the day that he became the assistant United States Attorney General to the day he took over as the acting head, it was exactly 56 weeks on the nose, and Todd Blanche 56. Okay. Keep in mind that firing was on 4/2. He replaced her on 4/2. Yesterday has happened to be 4. Was on 4/2. He replaced her on 4/2. Yesterday has happened to be 42 weeks after his birthday. That number has a lot to do with has a lot to do with a lot of things, from the Jesuits to the Freemasons to even the feminine. But anyway, let me scroll down here. Larry Ellison.
All right, so the Justice Department, he's talking about the Department of Justice there, today also went after E. Jean Carroll, the woman who ridiculously said that President Trump, raped her in a clothing store and, changing room. So, yeah, I mean, have you looked at the woman? No. Never, ever, never would have happened. All right. But somehow she got awarded like millions and millions of dollars. So now the Department of Justice is coming after her. It's going to clean up a lot of this stuff, guys. So it's moving in the right direction. Their ability to use a lot of this stuff against us is basically being stopped out. So let's look at, let's move on to the Muslim threat here in America and pretty much the world. So let's share, I'm going to share this screen for this particular video, and you're going to see why we cannot have Muslims in a Christian country, guys. And it's against our Constitution.
Students and children, I would thank you for ignoring the many people here. They're just misinformed, right? But I'm not a Muslim. Here's why. Let me quote some verses from the Quran. Slay the unbeliever wherever you find them. Maim and crucify the infidels if they criticize Islam. Terrorize and behead those who believe in scriptures other than the Quran. Muslims must muster all weapons to terrorize the infidels. The unbelievers are stupid. Urge the Muslims to fight them. Whenever opportunity arises, kill the infidels wherever you catch them. Make war on infidels living in your neighborhood. Do not hanker for peace with infidels. Behead them when you catch them. Remind me what that kid just told you. I've just brought the receipts. Support for Islam is treason. Treason is defined in Article 3, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution as adhering to the enemies of the United States. Some of the people in this room have committed treason. Why? Have you all been bribed or blackmailed? If so, blink twice. Is your allegiance to America and the Constitution or to the terror of Islam? It's a rhetorical question. You've shown your cards. Do the right thing. Maybe just pretend you're hosting The Apprentice and tell a certain someone you're fired. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So sounds pretty clear, cut and dry to me that if you're supporting Islam, which is here to basically behead and take over America, that you're treasonous. So, and per the Constitution, you cannot support a group of foreigners or a foreign religion that comes here to basically take over America. Duh. So it can't exist here, guys. It can't. I've been saying this for years. I'm not the only one, but the Democrats have been pushing them in here for a long, long time. They have to go back home. Go back home and, continue to do the pure evil that their religion is all about. All right. Yeah, I said it. All right. So let's look at a little bit more. Fort Worth. I talked to a gentleman just recently about how Texas was basically, like I said, starting to turn things around. And I said I went and ate. Scott McKay and I and my wife went to Fort Worth. There's a place there where they run the cattle down the street still, and they put them on trains to go to slaughterhouses, and they have really good meat there. And I guess if you come there a certain time, you can be on the balconies and along the boardwalk or whatever, and watch the cattle run through the streets, just like they've been doing for like over 100 years. But unfortunately, these people, he said, in Fort Worth are very liberal. And Scott McKay told me about how I think Antifa, BLM came into Fort Worth. They came in in busloads, and a lot of people, and I've talked about this before, how once the locals, maybe not the Fort Worth locals, but when the menfolk in Texas get wind of this, they show up in big numbers. And I guess they showed up when these guys came off the bus. They kicked their asses big time and sent them back on those buses. And the sheriff and so forth were on the periphery, making sure that no one got too far out of line. Right? They needed an ass kicking. They got their ass kicking. They got back on the bus and they left. Right? So this is starting to happen more and more in Texas. So let's listen to the recent. Now, I am not a fan of Greg Abbott. I think Greg Abbott needs to be arrested. And there are people that have said that if they get in office, they will arrest. The first thing they will do is arrest Greg Abbott.
District who had appointed a principal, and that principal, as it turns out, on their social media had posted some pretty controversial things about Sharia law, defending and explaining Sharia law, among other things as well. Well, the school district did make a statement to the Will Cain Show. They said they were made aware of multiple social media posts from the past by the finalist for a principal position in the district. After review, it was determined that the posts may not align with the district's social media policy and expectation for staff. Therefore, the candidate will be reassigned pending the outcome of an investigation. Talk to me about this story.
All right. Reassigned. All right. So she spoke out about Sharia. Abbott has been pushing, or people of Texas have been pushing, of course, because Abbott has been slowly letting these people in. And now people are starting to wake up to what the hell has been going on. And they're starting to push back in a big way. So now, of course, Abbott has to stand up and get them out. Now, Abbott, unfortunately, is up for re-election. In Texas, I guess there's no limit. There's no term limits. So very, very unfortunate for Texans. A lot of people have talked about how they're primary for the governor was very obviously compromised, just like we saw in 2020 for President Trump and so forth.
And about Texans' concerns about the spread of Islamism in Texas.
So, as to the story itself, right there, the education agency made it very clear that behavior like this, comments like.
So yeah, when you're lying, it's kind of hard to find a word sometimes. So this guy is a complete POS. He needs to go away, and he does need to be locked up and probably try for treason, quite frankly.
A misalignment with Texas values as well as Texas law are unacceptable, and people like this cannot be a principal. This comes in the aftermath of action that we took just 2 weeks ago, where there was an Islamic organization that tried to set up Tex A&M, which sounds a whole lot like Texas A&M, as a university, where they had no authority to do so. A lawsuit was brought to shut them down because they were trying to operate illegally. It comes in the aftermath of what happened in a Dallas suburb, Grand Prairie, where they tried to have a Muslim-only event in a public park location, and I ordered that it be shut down. Those are just some of the many actions that we've taken, including shutting down the attempt to create Epic City northeast of Dallas, Texas, where we are not going to allow.
Now, all of these events that he's saying he's taking credit for stopping and shutting down, it was the people of Texas that really got on board and made this a big issue. It got a lot of press, a lot of people got involved, and so he had to back down from letting these things continue and then act like the tough guy. But he, like I said, is not the tough guy. He is someone that has allowed this to transpire over time. All right, so we're going to see this stuff, I think, at some point, a big pushback. So we're getting a pushback on the rhinos. We're getting a pushback on the Democrats. We're getting pushback on, people that are in office that are cheating to stay in office, like Greg Abbott has done. I think if we see a really big turnout for other people that are on the ballot, that should be on the ballot, I don't know. I think he might be one. He might be the only one on the ballot. I don't know how Texas runs their show, their deal. He might be just against the Democrat, right? But sometimes there's write-ins. Now, there's some really good potential write-ins, I guess, for the Republican side. That one of them has been on my show and has talked about how they would they would arrest Abbott first day. All right. So Muslims. When Teddy Roosevelt banned Muslims from the U.S. All right, so this is a story that's out there. The anti-immigration bill that 100 years ago, Muslims were furious over an immigration bill whose origins lay with advocacy by a headstrong and loudmouthed Republican in the White House, that being Teddy Roosevelt. The anti-immigration bill offended the Ottoman Empire, the rotting caliphate of Islam, soon to be defeated at the hands of America and the West, by banning the entry of all polygamists, or persons who admit their belief in the practice of polygamy. Now, I saw in Texas, yes, Texas, where a Muslim man looked like he was in his 30s, maybe even older, had a little girl. As long as they're over 9 years old, they can be married to a Muslim man, and he had 3 wives. 3 wives, polygamy, right? And unfortunately, we can't say we can no longer have polygamists because we got Mormons. Thank you, Mormons. So Mormons are not so good either. They're along that evil line as well. And I think look at it. They have multiple wives. That's no. All right. So anyway, the battle had begun earlier when President Theodore Roosevelt had declared in his State of the Union address back in 1906 that Congress needed to have the power to deal radically and efficiently with polygamy. Now, he was aiming at the Muslims to get them out of America, all right? So he saw all the way back then that they would be a problem. Now, the Democrats have brought them in numbers that are staggering, beyond bullshit, right? And we need to turn that around, guys. We need to get the Muslims out of our country. I'm sorry if you think that freedom of religion is sacrosanct, and even a group that's wants to terrorize Americans. And if you haven't seen the show that I did yesterday morning, where I talked about how they're exposing Nick Shirley is exposing all this fraud in the Muslim areas of Minnesota and in California and so forth, where the Muslim groups, Somalis and so forth, are stealing, fraud, with these learning centers, all right? Taking from the government, taking from the state, billions and billions of dollars, and basically turning that into terrorist funds. So they sent a lot of those funds overseas to terrorists. Of course, a lot of them, are driving around in Lamborghinis and Mercedes and BMWs and have great homes from that money they've stolen. But another thing they're doing with that money is buying weapons and ammo and putting them, like I talked about, I saw when I was in the Middle East and we fought the Muslims. They would come out of their mosques with their weapons and their ammo. And eventually we started blowing the hell out of those mosques. I don't want to see that happen here, but there's very good evidence that they're arming up in these mosques and getting ready to, come at Americans and start shooting us and cutting our heads off. Right? That's their goal. That's what it says in the Quran, guys. So not good at all. Right? We have to, at some point, create some laws to, if you're a Muslim, you cannot live here in America because your laws and your, way of life and your Quran entices you to basically take over and drive out all the infidels, which are everyone that's not a Muslim, right? We can't have that here in America, guys, obviously. Duh. All right. So send in the Marines. That's right. Send in the Marines. And, we've done that a lot. The Marines, the 45, that's a big bullet. They used to have a 9mm, and the Marines in Philippines fighting the Muslims, they created, because the Muslims would take opioids and so forth, or some kind of drug, and they come in fighting, they get shot and shot and shot, and they keep coming. So they needed a big bullet to stop them. So the 45 was created for the Muslims in the Philippines. I hope we don't have to do that here in America, guys. But a lot of us have talked about how we see that coming. So President Trump, the greatest CNC commander-in-chief in history, not only fighting the radicals around the world, but also here in America. I think that they have been decimating a lot of the leadership of some of these groups, these terrorist groups. That have been and probably would have poised and also would have been initiated to strike out at us already. But I think they've been taking them down, right? So that process is continuing. And it will continue. And at some point, the Muslims got to go. All right. Muslims got to go out of America. All right. I'm happy you guys had a good time here, raping our women and children and, getting away with it because Muslims basically just break you right out of jail right after you commit the crimes. And then you go out and do it again and again and again and again and again. And you get released again and again and again and again. Shit's got to stop, right? And then stealing from us, and then creating these zones where No one can come in them. That was happening in Texas, and is quietly happening in other cities around America. So all this going to stop. All this going to, this Muslim evil is going to be, pushed out of America and wiped off the face of the earth at some point, I think. All right, guys. Lots of love. Stay in the love vibration. This is the way we win. Hopefully we won't have to have violence here, but the love vibration helps overcome that quite a bit. All right. So vibrational frequency, you maintain it. They can't come in and create their fear and anger and control systems when we're in those vibrational frequencies. All right. Lots of love, and I'll see you guys next time.